My name is Linda Baffa, and home for me is currently in Santa Barbara, California. And I grew up in Southern California, so I'm a girl that loves the sun and the beach and everything that is warm. My journey into the yoga practice started in college, and I went to college in New York City, which is very different from California. And I was a drama major, and part of our curriculum was to do yoga 3 times a week to really get to know our bodies and move with our bodies. And I literally was like my first downward dog. I was like, okay, this is my thing. I just felt so good in my body and so right. And I wasn't really that athletic or physical growing up. I was kind of awkward, actually. And so when I found yoga, I just felt like, wow, this really feels like something I could do and sustain that's good for me and good for my body. My journey into teaching yoga came about 10 years after I started yoga. So I just continued to practice and go to different studios. I literally tried every kind of yoga there is, and I pretty much loved them all, but I found my main home with vinyasa. And I knew I wanted to do a teacher training just to deepen my practice, but I wanted to wait for the right time and the right teacher. I pursued a career in singing and songwriting for a while, and I got kind of burnt out at one point, kind of hit a breaking point where I just was like, I can't do it anymore. I don't know. I don't have my passion, it's gone. So I needed just a big shift. So I decided literally a week before the training started to do a teacher training in Hawaii with a teacher I didn't even know. Her name was Julie Rader. She's now one of my best friends and mentors and guides in the yoga world. And I was transformed, and I actually didn't even know I wanted to be a teacher. She made me a teacher. She said, "You're a teacher." And she really got me teaching right away. She made me sub for her classes and just really encouraged me to keep doing it. And so I did, and it just came really naturally, and opportunities kind of just fell in my lap. I know that sounds bad for people that maybe are just starting to teach, but it really did happen for me that way. And so I felt like the universe was literally saying, you're supposed to be teaching yoga, and kind of continues to. It's amazing, and I'm so grateful. So my personal practice has definitely changed over the years. I first started very physically, and I think most of us do. We just, this practice starts with the physical postures, and the journey of yoga is that you start to like move and sweat and release, and then you get to shavasana and you're like, oh, this is kind of nice, you know? But what happens with the journey of yoga, and what's happened for me, is that shavasana, that element of just being, that element of just letting go and doing nothing and meditating essentially has become more of my practice. So I love the physical poses. I still do them. They make me feel good. But I do them so that I feel clear and spacious in my mind. That's the biggest benefit. So I am blessed to be a mother of 2 little ones, 18 months and almost 5 at the moment. And motherhood has definitely been my new yoga practice, mostly because I don't have as much time to go to a studio. Which is why yoga anytime is great, because I actually do myself a lot of online practices. And so those days when I just don't have time to get it in and I don't have time to meditate, my meditation and my yoga is being present with my children. And that's been my mantra for a while now, is be present with your children. Look at them, listen to them, engage with them, play with them, cry with them, empathize, you know, and it's just, they are my constant teachers, you know, and I find, again, I talk about the universe a lot, I'm a yogi, but when I listen to my children and when they offer advice or suggestions or they just want a hug or whatever, when I'm really present with them, magic happens, seriously. Like, my son will say, I really want to go ice skating today. And I'll be like, no, we don't have time to go ice skating. No, I really want to go ice skating, and then I'll finally surrender. We'll go to the ice skating rink and, I'll run into somebody that I haven't seen in years or something just happens. And I'm like, my son guided me here. He guided me here because I'm listening to him. And I just think that's amazing. I love to sing. I've always been a singer since I was like 5. I started taking singing lessons. And I often sing at the end of my yoga classes. And I always sing to my kids when they go to bed. And we made up a song that I sing to them every night. And it goes like this. It's a good song for Shavasana too, so you might want to lay down and listen. Time for sleeping, time for sleep, time to close your eyes and dream. Time for sleeping, time for sleep, time to say good night. So nourishment for me comes from nature. I try to get up every morning and get outside within the first hour, even if it's just walking around the block. I am fortunate enough to have an ocean view, part of the reason I live where I live, and have made choices in my life to get me to this place so that I can look out and see the ocean and just remind myself how big the world is and how small I am. So I'm really inspired by just life and the world and everything that exists. Yeah, so my main mentors on the yoga path are definitely Julie Rader. She is such a light and really meditative spirit. So she's really taught me so much about meditation. And I like to call her my Sat guru, is Jo Tastula, who I practiced with pretty religiously and only her for about 5 years, when I was about 20 to 25. And she just is magic. If you've never taken her class, she's Australian. She has this beautiful, soothing voice, and she just transforms me into a different place, into a really peaceful, calm, centered, grounded place. So I love her. If you are on the teaching path for yoga, my advice to you is just to teach all the time, like not just when you're in front of a group, but to your friends, to your family, to really embody your yoga. One of my teacher, Julie Rader, taught me right off the bat, like you've got to meditate, you've got to be grounded, you've got to feel your own yoga and embody that in order to teach. So if you do that for yourself and you do your own practice and you share that with others, not only in the yoga room, but outside the yoga room, you're always going to be teaching, and it's not always for like any financial benefit. So I guess I would always say just let that go, and like even if you always have to do something else for money, getting to teach yoga is a privilege. It's an honor, and you're changing people's lives, not only on the mat but off the mat. So. Just know that and embody that is what I would say. So when I feel really grounded and connected to my breath and to being present, I know that my practice is working. When I feel like my breath is scattered and I'm all over the place and I'm reacting to things, because I do. We're all like normal people on this. I'm a yoga teacher. Every yogi in the world will tell you, like, we're normal people. We're not some enlightened guru sitting on a pedestal where we're always peaceful. Because life happens. And so I just know that when I feel that way, and what's happened for my practice, from my years of practicing yoga, is that I'm able to kind of pause and look at myself from the outside in and say, You need to take a step back. You need to take maybe 5 minutes even, you know, and if I can't, then I just need to feel my breath, you know, or be silent, you know, especially when I'm with my kids and I can't go anywhere. I've got my kids to watch, but it's just, they're yelling at me and I'm just like, yes, I hear you. I hear what you need. Because that's what it's all about. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to be here and to show up for yourself and to do the yoga practice. It only grows exponentially the more you do it, the more you feel it and you embody it, and you will see your life transform for the better always, as long as you continue on this path. So thank you for doing this for yourself and for just bringing more yoga out into the world. My mom always, I lead teacher trainings, and my mom always jokes with me. She says, aren't you just gonna teach so many teachers? They're gonna take your jobs, and you know, there'll be so many yoga teachers and it'll be so saturated. And I say, no, it's like, I feel like it's like doctors, you know, like, is there ever gonna be too many doctors? No, because you always need to serve people. People are always gonna get hurt, and people are always gonna need yoga, and it's just growing and growing, so.